Hey everyone, and welcome back. Just wanted to do a quick review of the more recent 4K release of Paul Verhoeven's Total Recall. And this is a new release that was done by Studio Canal and released here in the States anyway through Lionsgate. Now this is a release I've been waiting to get the 4K treatment for a very long time. I'm a big fan of Total Recall. Have been ever since I saw it as a kid, and the film just blew me away. Based on the story by Philip K. Dick, it's about a guy in the near future who really wants to go to Mars, and so decides to go to this place that actually implants sort of a fake vacation memory into your head. And when they try and do that, it sort of triggers a response in him, and it sort of everything sort of unloads from there as he's being chased and everything, and then he needs to get his butt to Mars. Trying to mind my language on here. But I'm sure most of you have seen Total Recall already and know that it is just like an amazing and very fun film. Now, I knew a film like this would be a little bit hard to bring to disc because it is an effects heavy film. So you have a lot of matte shots and effect shots. And of course, this film came out back in 1990. And back then, everything was still being processed through a lab. So you always have a degrade in the image because of the process that is done. So which always leads to a, grainier picture during those effect sequences and everything. Now, the scenes that are on sets and things, you don't have to worry about that. But some of the other sequences that are effects heavy, I mean, you are going to have some sort of grainier image, and it's not going to look quite as clean as it was. And luckily for this transfer, which was overseen by director Paul Verhoeven, they did not smother it with any noise reduction, so it keeps all that information intact, even though I'm sure it can be very easy, especially in some of those grainier scenes, to give it a little bit of noise reduction and just kind of smooth it out and everything. But to my eye, I didn't notice any of it. And I'm so happy they did, because the problem is once you start applying noise reduction, of course, you lose some of the fine detail. The bass transfer on this really is incredible. And they ported over, I believe, all of the existing extras. And they also have some new ones. One of my favorite ones is actually an hour-long documentary on the history of Kuroko, the company that actually made the film. They were sort of rise and fall during the 80s and 90s. And that was actually a really cool extra that they included on this. And is a 4K release, also comes with a Blu-ray. And the 4K release is in Dolby Vision. The audio does have a new Dolby Atmos track, but also comes with the original stereo track as well, which is good to see. And actually, you can usually find this release fairly cheap. I think actually over the holiday season, went down to I think around $12.99 or something like that, maybe even $11.99. But now we're going to get to, unfortunately, the bad part and the frustrating part about this release. And this is going to stem from, unfortunately, sort of an ongoing issue with Studio Canal. Studio Canal is having a little bit of a mixed history here with some of their 4K releases. They are actually doing really nice transfers on a lot of the films that they have in their library, but they're not doing the best compression, and you're getting a lot of compression issues and artifacts in a lot of their releases. Now, I haven't seen all of their other releases, but the ones that I have seen, this is definitely the worst in my opinion. There are a lot of shots in this film that just literally become pixelated and fall apart. And to be honest, I was actually really shocked when I saw it. And here are a couple pictures I took where you can see the pixelation happen. And the weird thing is, like, as you can see in this one, right out of the gate, even in the Kuroko logo, you can see it's just breaking apart and getting all pixelated. I don't know if this one you can see as clearly, but during the opening credits, sort of around the credits, you can kind of see is sort of in the gradient between the red and the black, it falls apart. It gets pixelated as well. And a lot of the pixelation seems to happen around very, very bright points, or very much in the red. So even in this scene at the very opening, in the dream sequence on Mars, you can see here in the sky that, again, it's just falling apart. It's getting pixelated, and it's just not holding together. Here's another one a little bit later in the film with the ship arriving. And you can see underneath it that it's just breaking apart and it's pixelating, and it just really looks terrible. And the frustrating thing is that it's not, throughout the film. I mean, if I had to, I don't know how accurate this is, but let's just say 80% of the film looks between good and great when it comes to the compression. So you're looking at about, 20% of the film which has these compression problems, and honestly 20% is actually a lot. And it's weird because even some shots where you think it would fall apart from compression. For example, this scene which has smoke effects and it's got model effects and it's got even has red and all kinds of stuff. And this is a clear indication of a shot that I would expect to fall apart with compression issues. From my eye, it didn't. And even some of these complex shots that have multiple effects going on at once, I mean, they just look fantastic. But then, not to spoil the ending, but I assume most of you have seen it, but just in case, here's the last shot of the film. And as you can see here, as the image starts to go bright, it breaks up in several parts of the image, up in the top corner and in the back, in her hair and all around it. And this should not be happening for a release of this type. I mean, the fact that, small independent companies have better compression on their releases than these bigger sort of studio releases is really not good. And this is a problem that needs to be handled by Studio Canal. Like, if they're spending the money to do these transfers, why would you then not spend money on doing the compression, which basically just screws up all the work you did on the transfer? I don't understand it, and that's what makes a release like this so frustrating because, again, the raw transfer itself is really amazing. They've done a fantastic job on the release as a whole as far as doing the new transfer, having all the extras, including the new extras, having the different audio options, having it at a very good price point. Again, especially here in the States, I think this Lionsgate release, I think retails for $20, and again, I've seen it go for like 11, 12 bucks. This would easily be one of my favorite releases of the year, but I can't really fully go there because of the poor compression that comes up several times throughout the film. Now, are they going to do anything about it? No, because they never did anything about it with any of their previous releases either. One of the sad things about where we are right now with some of these releases is this is not going to get recalled, no pun intended. It is what it is. I would just try and get it as cheap as possible because, again, the majority of it looks good to great, but I really, really hope Studio Canal does a much better job in compressing their movies. There is no need for this. So definitely a frustrating release because on the one end, I could easily recommend it, and on the other, I have to say it's a recommendation with a big but. So those are my 2 cents on the new 4K release of Total Recall. Definitely let me know your thoughts, and if you've had it, if you've noticed the compression issues as well. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.